I want to thank everybody for coming to this morning's presentation about captioning and creating transcriptions for your presentations for the Pac Rim conference. I think I know everybody here for the first time. So I'm Tom Conway. I work at the Center on Disability Studies. The objective for today is to learn about making your conference presentation accessible. And today we're going to be concentrating on captioning and transcriptions. We're going to give an overview for virtual live presentation and also video recorded presentations. We're going to give a few tips on how to caption the videos. I believe you should be seeing captioning on this one. Can everyone let me know if you're seeing it? Because I can't actually see the screen you're looking at. Okay, good. Thank you very much. This is one thing you need to be aware of, that if you are the host of the Zoom meeting, chances are you're not going to see the screen the same way all your participants do. So that's one thing I would like to tell you. Okay, so a few things to think about before you're either giving a live presentation or actually doing a recording is that you want to be able to speak clearly, not too fast. Also try to avoid jargon as much as possible. And if you do have technical terms that you need to explain, I'd really highly recommend that you do that during the presentation. When images come up, you want to describe them. Say what's there. You don't have to go into a lot of in-depth detail, but you want to be able so that if you had the screen off and you're describing what's there, that people will know what you're talking about, and more importantly, why it's important, why you have that image there. That could be anything from a data chart to an image to some sort of graphic. I just think it's really important that a lot of times people try to load up their slideshows with a lot of graphics that really are meaningless. Just try to make the thing simple. You don't have a lot of time. You only have 45 minutes or less, actually, probably like 30 minutes. It may seem like a lot, but actually when you're presenting, it's better to just sort of stick to the very basics and just describe what's there and why it's there. If you're going to be recording or presenting, make sure that you're in an area that's quiet. It's not going to have an external noise. External noise can really cause a lot of havoc with the recording. If you have to go back and like using these auto transcription features, it's going to create a lot of problems in your editing afterwards. So find a place that has a good internet connection. Make sure you have some kind of backup. And while you're doing it, just be aware that you need to have, quiet. You want to make sure there's a lot of noise going on in the background and that you may not get interrupted. And these things can happen, I understand it, but if you're going to be doing a presentation for the conference, it's better to sort of pre-plan where you're going to do it. And this, the probability of sounds coming in from the outside. Next thing is use a quality microphone. This one's kind of tough. So if you have a headset, I really highly recommend having a headset. You notice I'm wearing one now. It's a lot easier to contain the outside noise. It also makes it easier to hear things. A lot of times when you're sitting in an area, you don't realize how external sounds can be amplified. The worst ones I've seen are like ceiling fans. Someone will have a ceiling fan on. They've gotten kind of used to the noise, so they don't realize it, but it can be like really overpowering. And so just be aware of that. And one thing I'd really highly recommend is that everybody, do a practice recording. Sit down through your whole presentation, do a recording, and then see how it sounds. Are you talking too fast, talking too slow? Anyway, you want to have everything at a sort of a medium pace. Okay, we're going to go over 3 options you have. The first one is to write out a script to read, and then you can upload it as the transcription. You can also then upload it for the captioning. This one's probably the one I recommend the most, even though I typically don't use it myself. I would recommend it if you're doing a presentation and want to make sure you get all the content that you want to convey to the audience. It really is a good way to make sure you know how long your presentation is going to take too. Because these presentations are only 45 minutes, you want to make sure you have enough time at the end for people to answer questions and answers. So just be aware of the timing on it. I know it seems like a lot of time, 45 minutes. At least give at least 10 minutes for people to ask questions. It's part of the reason of giving a presentation is to get sort of interaction with the audience. So you want to make sure you've scheduled that correctly. The second option is to use the auto captioning features, like the one I'm using now. I'm using live transcribe, excuse me. It's built into the Zoom Pro accounts that we will be using for our live presentations. If you do not have a Pro account, be aware that may not be offered if you're using the basic Zoom accounts. There are different things you need to look at. You want to make sure that it's there and that you download the transcription afterwards. It's a good idea to practice these things. Now for the YouTube, I'm going to be going into more detail in this. YouTube also has an auto captioning feature. It has some limitations. I'll be discussing that in a few minutes. Now the last option, the third option, is to actually go back and manually type in all the captions into your video using some sort of video editing package. I would recommend using the YouTube one because that's where we'll be hosting your video once it's been recorded. Okay, so I'm going to go over the first option, writing out a script. This is probably it's probably the easiest one to do. You just go through each slide, write down notes, have an outline, and just read directly right off the script. Then you can upload it. You're not going to need to review any transcripts. You're not going to have to check for any sort of errors. There's also no loss of translations. So one thing you need to think about, even with like our ASL signer interpreter here, they may not really know exactly what you're trying to present. So think about that. If you can give them the transcription beforehand, that would also help us out a lot. The only thing you're going to have to do is once you have the script written and recorded, you're going to need to synchronize it with the video. So that may be a little time consuming, but it shouldn't be too bad. It shouldn't take you more than an hour to synchronize it with the 45-minute video. So that's probably the best option. This is the one that probably people won't be doing, but anyway, I just want to put it out there. Okay, the next option is to use auto captioning. Now, for the YouTube channel, I'm not trying to promote YouTube, but since we are all going to be using it to present the recordings, if you put your recording up there and it's less than an hour, and you have some people told me you have to have a Pro account. I'm not sure about that, but our account is a Pro account. It will auto caption it within about 24 hours. It's not going to do it right away. You do have to make sure that it's been published and it's made publicly available, but then you're gonna have to go back and review it for inaccuracies because it's not very necessarily going to be accurate, depending on a lot of different things, not just your voice. It just may not understand everything that you've done. It's an automated feature. It's artificial intelligence. It's a logarithm that works. It's not necessarily foolproof. So just remember that. It can be very time consuming. It sounds like an easy way to go around it. Just so you know, I did a video, I think 2 weeks ago, that was an hour and a half long. It took me over 5 hours to go back and review the auto caption version of it and repair all the inaccuracies. So it's not as foolproof as it sounds. We have found over the past several weeks that the Zoom live transcribe is actually a little more accurate. We're not exactly sure why, but it is. The only problem that we've noticed is that it doesn't seem to record. So if you're recording, the live transcribe will not show up on the final version. However, you can download the transcription and then upload it on the YouTube channel, and it will synchronize perfectly with the video. You just got to make sure you start them both at the same time. Okay, the last option, which is probably the most time consuming, is to go back in and actually type in the captioning as it occurs after you've done it. It's probably going to be the most accurate, because you'll be able to change things. If you saw something you didn't like that you did, such as the uhs, ahs, various other things that may have come up, you can take them out and just put exactly what you wanted to have, and you can download that as the transcription for your presentation. It's probably the most accurate, but it does take some time. Just to give you sort of a time frame, when I was giving people, I used to have some student workers who would do captioning for the various videos. We would look, if you did an hour video, it'd probably take about 5 hours to do all the captioning. So realize this is time consuming, but it is the most accurate. Okay, a few things to think about, particularly when you are doing a live recording, is ask the audience if they can hear you. I have started off several of my presentations. I didn't realize that had been muted. So you want to make sure that people can hear you. You're also going to make sure that your ASL captioner is being shown on the screen. So you want to communicate with them. If you could give them the transcription or some idea of your slides, so they'll have some idea of what they need to translate, that would be extremely helpful. Another thing you consider doing, if you're giving a presentation, either you can advance the slides, but you're having someone else do it, announce that you're, please, go to the next slide, please. That makes it easier for people to follow your presentation. I've seen presentations where somebody got stuck on one slide and started advancing because they're more focused on giving the presentation. They didn't realize the slides weren't advancing at the same time they were presenting. So just something to think about. A lot of people go, oh, well, I'll advance my own slides, but consider having someone else there. There will be other people assisting you with your presentation at the live presentations for the conference. Consider having them do the slides and just telling them to advance it. The last thing is we've requested everybody give a copy of their slides beforehand so people can take a look at it. It just helps people in also preparing questions. A lot of times, if someone can see your presentation beforehand, they can start thinking of questions they can ask you at the end. This will also make your presentation a lot more meaningful and engaging. I really do recommend it. A lot of times, just the title of a presentation doesn't really necessarily convey all the information you want to give. They can look at it, they can review it, they can come up with some questions they want to ask you, at the end of your presentation or however you want to do it. So anyway, it's something to think about. Okay, so for our conference, we are asking that all presentations must be captioned. This is to make our conference accessible. We've made that a highlight. Another reason we're having the ASL interpreters involved is we want to make our conference as accessible as possible, because we are the showcase for it. So we are the Center on Disability Studies. It's really highly important that you follow this. We can assist you. If you have challenges with it, please let us know. Contact the Pac Rim team, contact Naomi or myself, and we will find a way to assist you in getting your presentation captioned. If you're going to use the live caption programs, Before, in my earlier presentations, we were suggesting a program called Otter. We found that the live transcription in Zoom Pro is actually more accurate. The Otter would do the recording. I've used Otter quite a bit. However, we have found that the live transcribe, it's not live transcript, it's live transcribes actually does a better job of putting it together. So think about that. The YouTube one also is going to require a lot of editing. You need to go back and review it. You need to go back no matter what. If you're using an auto-generating program, you will have to review it for inaccuracies. Last thing, but not least, is you're going to attach, once you have that transcription edited and it's finalized, you can attach it to your presentation so people can just view the text transcription. This is primarily for people who either may be deaf, they don't want to sit through 45 minutes of it, they can just read it. The other thing is a lot of people use screen readers, prefer having a text transcription to use as opposed to sitting through the whole presentation. So there are a lot of very good uses for doing this. I really encourage everyone to see the value of it. Okay, I've gone through this information very quickly. I want to open up to any sort of questions anybody has.
So Tom, this is Carol. Really simple question. How do you turn on the live transcribe in Zoom?
Excellent question. So you have to have a pro account. You also have to make sure it's been updated. This is a feature they just recently added. So you go up to the Zoom, and if you go off on the bottom menu towards the right, it'll say more, and there'll be like for CC transcriptions. You need to be using like either a Macintosh or a Windows-based platform. You cannot use, you know, what's the other? You have to be using like a real computer. You can't use a, I'm trying to remember what the Google Chromebook. You can't use a Chromebook for it. It won't work on a Chromebook. I'm sorry, forgot about what I've been trying to explain, but you have to be using like a Macintosh or a real computer so it can actually download everything. If you got your account through the COE, it should be a pro account. If you haven't got a pro account, I would either suggest getting one if you want to do the recording, or get one through ITS. I think they're switching over. All the ones that we'll be using for the conference will be pro accounts. Okay, so you're able to see it?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And in fact, COE are not doing pro accounts anymore. They will refer you to ITS.
Yeah,
so I've got one, so okay. It's fine. They still support, you know, the COE folks are very great. So thank you.
No, they're very good. Like I said, they're transferring everything